Hare Krishna, dear devotees, you're all welcome in today's session. We are presenting gems from Srimadbhagavatam, and today is a very important verse from Srimadbhagavatam, from Canto 4, Chapter 31, verse number 14, coming from Sri Devashi Narad himself. Hare Krishna. So please join us in the recitation prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiryet Shavatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtanaha Hridayantastho bhadrani vidhunoti suhasatam nashtaprayesha bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatir shloke bhaktir bhavati nashtiki. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So after the invocation prayers, why do we do invocation prayers? So that we can receive the blessings of the Lordship of, Narayan Rishi, Mother Saraswati, as well as Vyasdev. And by doing this invocation prayers, we are reminding ourselves that by regular recitation of Bhagavatam, regular hearing of Bhagavatam, if you can cover one verse, you can cover half the verse. Not half the verse, at least 1/4 the verse. Everything benefits us tremendously. And so today we'll be covering this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 4.31.14. Yatha tarurmul nishechanena tripyanti tatskanda bhujopashakha pranopahara chayatendriyanam tatheva sarvahanam achyuteja. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. As pouring water on the root of a tree energizes the trunk, branches, twigs, and everything else, and as supplying food to the stomach enlivens the senses and limbs of the body, simply worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead through devotional service automatically satisfies the demigods who are parts of that Supreme Personality. Purport. Sometimes people ask why this Krishna consciousness movement simply advocates worship of Krishna to the exclusion of the demigods. The answer is given in this verse. The example of pouring water on the root of a tree is very appropriate. In Bhagavad Gita 15.1 it is said, Urdhva Mula Madha Shakhyam. This cosmic manifestation has expanded downward and the root is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As the Lord confirms in Bhagavad Gita 10.8, Aham Sarvasya Prabhava. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Krishna is the root of everything. Therefore, rendering service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, Krishna Seva, means automatically serving all the demigods. Sometimes it is argued that karma and jnana require a mixture of bhakti in order to be successfully executed. And sometimes it is also argued that bhakti also requires karma and jnana for its successful termination. The fact is, however, that although karma and jnana cannot be successful without bhakti, bhakti does not require the help of karma and jnana. Actually, as described by Srila Rupa Goswami, Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadyanavritam. Pure devotional service should not be contaminated by the touch of karma and jnana. Modern society is involved in various types of philanthropic works, humanitarian works, and so on. But people do not know that these activities will never be successful unless Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is brought into the center. One may ask, what harm there is in worshipping Krishna and the different parts of his body, the demigods? And the answer is also given in this verse. The point is that by supplying food to the stomach, the indriyas, the senses, are automatically satisfied. If one tries to feed his eyes or ears independently, the result is only havoc. Simply by supplying food to the stomach, we satisfy all of the senses. It is neither necessary nor feasible to render separate service to the individual senses. The conclusion is that by serving Krishna, Krishna Seva, everything is complete. as confirmed in Chaitanya Chaitamrita Madhya Leela 22.62, Krishna Bhakti Kaile Sarva Karma Krita Haya. If one is engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, everything is automatically accomplished. Hare Krishna. Such a beautiful verse, and even more beautiful is the purport, because it's transcendental ecstasy of Srila Prabhupada. So Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please join us in Prabhupada Pranati and getting blessings from the Acharyas. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshitarine Om Jnana Timrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripa tadaham vande shigrum dina taranam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So here in this verse, there are two beautiful analogies are being used. First is just by giving water to the root of a tree. Now, the root of a tree is not visible from, when you're looking at a tree. The roots, of course, there are some trees, they have their roots, spread out, and so they are sometimes visible. And in case of some trees, we also see the roots are hanging from the branches, but we are not talking about those trees, we're talking about general, that the roots of the trees are what take all the nutrition from the ground and supply it to all other parts of the tree. The branches, the twigs, the flowers, the leaves, everything is filled in. So similarly, we want to be satisfied, but everyone is looking for happiness, right? And you cannot be happy unless you're peaceful, and you cannot be peaceful unless you're satisfied. So we all are carrying a hole, H-O-L-E, hole in our heart, right? And to fill that hole in the heart, we need the whole, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for us to really take to this journey towards eternal happiness, the bliss that we are looking for. So we spend our lives trying to fill the hole in our hearts with temporary things like money, power, pleasure, recognition, right? But the whole remains. Why? Because only the whole, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, can fill the hole in our heart. And the whole is the very basis that this particular verse is focusing on. That we have to understand that by giving water to the root, you can give water to the tree, branches and leaves, but the tree will not get nourished. So simply, when we engage our activities in various other engagements with different motivations, driven by different other reasons than satisfying Krishna, they don't cause satisfaction. Rather, they cause more agitation, more lamentation, more anxiety. And that is the basis where this particular verse is revealing to us that we have to understand who is in the center. We are not in the center. Krishna has to be in the center. And when we engage in the service of Krishna, then we can be fully satisfied. So he is Lord Rishikesha, Rishikena, Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate. So that is the very basis, right? And similarly, in the same verse, another analogy is being used. That, when we supply food to our stomach, then the whole body is satisfied, is fully energized, because from the stomach, the nutrition is spread around to the whole body. So somebody could say, why can't I just feed my hands? Or why can't I feed my legs? Because they won't satisfy the nutritional aspect, fully. And similarly, Lord Krishna is the supreme whole, and then the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And at the same time, we look at the reference of Bhagavad Gita, and many people are attracted to the universal form of the Lord. Right? They say, oh, this is what, God looks like to my perspective. So again, here, we hear the Lord is trying to find that picture in here. Yes, this one. So Lord is saying that there are various demigods. There is hands and legs and so forth, so many limbs that they are there in the universal form. Yet at the same time, by taking to demigod worship may not satisfy us. But when it's like you're trying to satisfy a clerk or a manager in an office. And by thinking that you will please this clerk or a manager, you will attain your goal. Not always true, because one manager may be happy and then three other managers may still be dissatisfied because they are in competition with this manager, whatever the reason is. So it's not possible to satisfy all the employees in an organization. But if you have pleased the proprietor, and if you have pleased the president or the CEO of the company, the head of the company, and everybody sees how you are dear to this person, to the head of the company, everyone else becomes satisfied because they understand, oh, this person is very special, right? So similarly, Devashina is encouraging the prachetas to take to devotional service, because by taking to devotional service, we become dear to Krishna. Krishna says that actually my devotees, they purchase me with this love, in devotional service. And he gets bought. Sometimes when we talk about this, people become little manipulative. So we have to understand, yes, many times people, they come to the temple and they're asking, and even we have gone through this cycle. When we were kids, we would come to the temple with the parents, and parents would say, bow down because there is a Supreme Lord. We would just bow down. Wherever they would say, pay obeisances, we would pay obeisances. Wherever they would say, wish them well, so we'll wish them well. So this is somewhat, following the guidance from elders, because they are senior to us. And Agya may happen in this process, but sometimes they may be bewildered and they may be following the wrong person. So again, there is a chance. So it's more of a mode of ignorance that we are carrying out our activities. And yes, transcendental activities are, when we even unknowingly do them, there is constant benefit. So when we even unknowingly worship the Supreme Lord, we get the benefit. And in this regard, there's a beautiful story of this is in Padma Puran, of a mouse who was thinking that there is a sweet, but actually it was the wick of a lamp that was not really catching up. It was about to die out. And so the mouse, thinking it's sweet, tries to taste it. But then in the process, what happens is it gets burned, but because of his whisk, the fire catches to the better part of the cotton, and so the lamp is very nicely lit now. So it was about to die, the lamp, but then because of the whiskers of the mouse, it actually caught up and it's very nice. But now the mouse is in pain, right? It's burning, so it's jumping in front and going around, jumping, and in that way, it is feeling the pain, and finally leaves its body. It dies. Hare Krishna. Thank you. And next life, the mouse gets an opportunity to become a princess. And when she is married, she goes and she lights up all the lamps, because by Lord's mercy, that Agya Sukriti was still in her memory, it was preserved. And she understands that, especially on Diwali, she would light up and encourage all the citizens to light up millions of lamps. And today is one such day. Today is Ganesh Chaturthi. Happy Ganesh Chaturthi to all. Hare Krishna. So Lord Ganesha is also a great devotee. Actually, if you look at Shiv Parivar, they're all great devotees. Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu. Lord Shambhu, Lord Shiva is the topmost Vaishnava. Vaishnava means a devotee of Lord Vishnu. And then we talk about Mother Durga, right? Parvati. Parvati is his consort. When she is in a Shatrani bhav, as a warrior, then she appears as Durga. And she is known as Vaishno Devi. Vaishno Devi is a she devotee of Lord Vishnu. Then we see Kartikeya. He is very much devoted to his father. So his father, whatever he says, he follows it. And we see Ganesha. Ganesha, he satisfied Lord Narasimhadev by playing the musical instruments for his satisfaction. And so Lord Narasimhadev blessed him to remove all the obstacles in the path of, that's why he's known as Ganesh. Gana means people. So he is the Lord of all the people. And so because of Lord Narasimhadev's boon, he has acquired the capability to remove all the vignas, all the hurdles or roadblocks or impediments, from people's lives. So here in this verse, coming back, there is a constant, understanding that is being stressed, that we have to directly or indirectly take to devotional service. But if we take it to directly, then it is for our benefit, because then we spend less time and we can quickly progress in our spiritual journey. So the root tree analogy and the stomach senses analogy, they both highlight the principle that by serving Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, everything else and everyone else is served. And that is how we will truly feel satisfaction. So the essence that we are empty inside, yet we need to connect with one who is full, right? So if there is a hole in our heart, which is, the emptiness, the void that we are experiencing, we may try to, like a small child, mother may sometimes give a small toy or something. The kid may be busy for some time, but then again, all the kid wants is the mother. He wants the embrace of the mother. He wants the mother. So just like a child cries, Srila Prabhupada would say, that's how we have to cry out to Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And by Lord's mercy, his name is not different from him. So when we call out his name, we are actually in direct touch with him. And that would give us satisfaction. That's why Srila Prabhupada used this beautiful phrase, chant and be happy. So today, in this presentation, we'll be covering an acronym, and you may have already guessed, the acronym is WHOLE with a W, W-H-O-L-E, where W stands for worshipping the root, right? Worshipping the cause of all causes. Aham sarvasya prabhu matta sarvam pravartate. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that I am the cause of everything. And so we have to understand who's the cause, who's the root. And even though the root is not visible, and similarly to our material eyes, we cannot see the Lord, but he is everywhere. So again, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karan Karanam. In Brahma Samhita, the very first verse, the invocation verse, talks about Ishvara Parama Krishna. Of all the Ishvaras, of all the controllers, the topmost controller is who? Lord Krishna. And his form is Satchit Anand. Sat is eternal, Chit is full of knowledge, and Anand, the bliss, something that we are all looking for. So we should approach the one who has something that we are looking for. So that's also one of the reasons. Anadir Adir Govinda. Anadir means there is no one before him, and Adir is the oldest person. He is the beginning. Govinda. Govinda means the one who gives pleasure to the cows, the one who gives pleasure to the senses, and also there is a third meaning, the one who gives pleasure to Mother Earth. So Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karan Karanam, and he's the cause of all causes. So sometimes people misuse this last phrase and they say, oh, all the bad things are happening because of him. No, all the bad things are happening because of us, and he is the cause that we exist. We can look at it that way too. And Srila Prabhupada used a very simple analogy that on earth we see clouds. And how do clouds, how are they formed? Because the sunlight is falling on the water and the water evaporates and then creates the clouds. But do you see any cloud on the sun? It can't exist. So it is in our consciousness that the pollution is. Lord is completely pure, he is transcendentally pure. But we become controlled by the material energy. So we have to take to this W, worshipping the root, if we want to be free of all anxieties, all fears. So that's what we covered last week, that he is the one who can deliver us from all fears and anxieties. And what will happen in this if we are, worshipping? Well, if we are worshipping, then comes H, that our heart's true nourishment happens, right? Why? Because only bhakti can fulfill us and that void in our heart, right? And to be able to do that and take maximum benefit, we can achieve, and we should aspire to be at O, which is one-pointed devotion. We all know Arjun's example where Dronacharya was asking many of his disciples, what do you see? He had asked them, the goal is to pierce the eye of the bird sitting on a tree. And people were saying, yeah, I see nice sky, I see nice, land, I see lots of trees. He would not, talk about, he would not give them chance. He's like, next, next. And when Arjun comes, he asks, what do you see? Arjun says, I only see the eye of the bird. It's like, just take aim. So again, we have to follow Arjun here, that we have to have that one-pointed devotion. We cannot be just worshipping all demigods and expecting, because then what would happen is we are dharma sunishtita pumsam vishwakshena katasu yaha na utpadyate yadi ratim shramaya hi kevalam. So as occupation duties a human being performs or mankind performs, if it does not invoke attraction towards Lord Krishna, then it is shramaya hi kevalam. So we are engaging in useless labor. We are wasting our time by doing all other things. So we have to understand why one-pointed devotion is very much necessary. And when we are engaging in this devotion and we are one-pointed, we are focusing our full energy, we have to, again, Srila Prabhupada didn't call Krishna consciousness as devotion. He called it devotional service. It's an activity. It's an active engagement. That's where L comes in, because that activity should show us as love in action, right? There are practical steps we have to take. There is sadhu kripa and sadhu seva. So again, mahat seva that we have to receive. And these actually are the two causes of how faith develops. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur reveals, when Rupa Goswami is talking about the Shraddha Tada Sadhu Sangha Bhajan Kriya, sometimes people say, oh, yes, you have faith, and then you can take to Sadhu Sangha, come to the association of devotees, and then you engage in Bhajan Kriya, that having taken initiation from a bona fide spiritual master, you engage in devotional service. Bhajan Kriya is also not just worshipping, but it's actually all the 9 processes. But they really become effective because that's where anartha nivritti happens. Before that, we may engage in devotional service, but not really getting that effect. It's like you could buy a medical book, right, on how to do heart transplant or others from the market, but reading the book doesn't make you a doctor. You have to get an admission in a university, learn it under the instruction and direction of a doctor, and then as a mentor or coach, he will guide you through how to be a successful doctor. And then when you receive that degree, that is identifying that you are bona fide to be able to practice, in real world. So even for a small profession, which doesn't really take the whole of our life, people have to go through the process. Then what to talk about a process that is related to soul, the satisfaction of the soul. So we have to take to this bona fide process and engage in devotional service, one-pointed, with love in action. We have to do it. So again, there are different ways why people are motivated to different activities. Some people are motivated by fear. They are engaged in something because if they don't do that, then there will be repercussion, there will be setbacks, right? People go to jobs so that they get money and they can bring bread and butter to the table for the family. That's their motivation. So sometimes people are motivated by fear. And then some people who are more mature, they come to be motivated by duty. Hey, it is my duty. It is how I am supposed to be acting. And they are still at the karma yogi stage, but it's still mixed with some of the mode of passion aspects. So they are looking at doing it as a duty. They're not so much in the mode of heavy passion, just the previous one was. But even better than that are the ones who are doing it for love, with love. So when they are doing it with love, they don't care if there is remuneration, if there is any wages at the end. They are just doing it because they want to attain. But then various people engage in various kind of activities because they get various kind of mallows. But the true mallow is when we engage in devotional service, because that's showing true love. These examples do exist. Sometimes people say, oh, can you tell me, is there an example of a person who's doing this? Yes, we see the job of a mother. A mother takes care of her child. First she keeps the baby in her womb for 9 months. Giving birth, is such a painful thing, but she's not looking for a wage. She's just hoping that the baby would come out and she would take care of the baby. And that satisfaction, that smile of the baby, that broken, voices the baby makes, the gesture the baby makes, the way it walks, the way it looks, all those things are fully satisfying to the mother and to the relatives also, because they're deriving some satisfaction, a kind of mellow, like that is rasa, essence. And when we are engaged in these kind of activities, unless they're directed towards Krishna, means the satisfaction would not be fully, you know, as we, our soul, as us, we are experiencing, that has to be taken into account. So when we engage in devotional service with one-pointed attention and love is in action, we have to go to E, which is eternal satisfaction. So again, everything should be motivated correctly. So there is a very common moral story. So I was going through this scenario where there's like all the senses, they went on a strike. The hands were saying, wait a minute, we are doing all the work, we are building all the things, and we are chopping, cooking, feeding. The leg said, we carry this whole body from one place to another. But it's just the stomach that just sits there doing nothing. And so they all refuse to serve the stomach. They refuse to bring food because you need the food to be held by your hand to bring to your mouth. So after 2 days, what happened? They all became weak. They couldn't even complain anymore. There was no energy left. So finally, they admitted, yes, our stomach, we have to understand the importance of stomach. And so they came to stomach and said, forgive us. Without serving you, we starve ourselves. So when we don't serve Krishna, similarly, who's the root and stomach of the universe, we only exhaust ourselves. We only spend our valuable time for useless efforts, for useless activities. So worshipping is very important, worshipping the root, right? So just like watering the root of a tree is important so that the whole tree feels nourished, supplying nourishment to the stomach is important so that the whole body gets nourished. Worshipping Krishna nourishes all beings and satisfies all demigods. That is a very important aspect. Srila Prabhupada, in his purpose, have stressed this point many times. Just by serving Krishna, one automatically renders service to everyone else. This is the perfect service, he calls it. So if you want to perform perfect service, all you have to do is serve Krishna. And service of Krishna starts very simply with the chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So if we water the leaves and branches of the tree without watering the root, the tree will dry up. We all know this by experience, right? So we have to be very much clear in our direction. And my Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhagavad, he would, basically give us directions. And one time he said that when we worship Krishna, we don't neglect the demigods. We respect them as servants of Krishna. But exclusive worship goes only to Krishna, the root. This is very important. Once, Srila Prabhupada was having morning walk and one of his disciples, he asked, Srila Prabhupada, such and such person is worshipping Lord Shiva. That is not so good. So Srila Prabhupada said, but if the person is worshipping Lord Shiva as a Vaishnava, that Lord Shiva is the greatest Vaishnava and is again a devotee of Lord Krishna, the topmost devotee, then the person will get benefit. But better is to just, worship Krishna. So the Ganges flow to the ocean. We hear in Queen Kunti's prayers that I want my attention to be diverted, my devotion to be directed only towards you. So there could be so many ponds and other things, on its way, but does it stop? No, it's directed towards the ocean. So in the same way, our devotion flows to Krishna, and through him, everyone is satisfied. And this is how we see in real life also happens. We pay taxes to the single agency, right? In India, it's ITO, Income Tax Office. Out here, it is US Treasury, IRS. And once we supply all the funds as taxes to them, they distribute it to all the other agencies, all the government agencies and state agencies and so forth. So we have to understand that these aspects are very fundamental and we have to take them at heart as they come. So if we try to serve each branch separately, life becomes complicated. Have you ever tried this? Again, trying to just take care of every single one. But if we serve the root, life becomes simple and full of joy because everything else is satisfied. So we have to understand the secret, which is sometimes so hidden. And our problem is that we keep watering the plastic branches of illusion. This is what is happening, that we are expecting fruits from something that doesn't bear even the fragment of happiness or bliss. Only when we water the root Krishna do we taste real sweetness. And Srila Prabhupada used a very important example, Vara hosts the Khara. So he would say, when we are serving other people or other entities than Krishna, then we are acting like, even a donkey. When he approaches she donkey, she kicks him. And when a camel is trying to, going to higher branches and taste thorns, what's happening is the thorns are piercing its gums in its mouth, and the blood is oozing out, and it's tasting its blood and thinking, oh, these thorns are very tasty. So all these kind of things are happening is when we try to do different things without proper attention. And we have so many wonderful, exalted personalities like Dhruv Maharaj. He began with material desire. He wanted a kingdom greater than his great-grandfather, Lord Brahma. So he is son of Uttanpa. Uttanpa is son of Manu. Manu is son of Lord Brahma, the great-grandfather. And at this particular time is when he is engaging and unknowingly, he gets the mercy of Devashi Narad. And he is following those instructions, he being a Kshatriya, with one pointed attention, with love in action, but he's more oriented towards, I do this, I'll get this return. However, once he sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu, in front of him, suddenly the Lord disappears from his heart and he immediately opens his eyes and sees the Lord right in front of him. He realizes that he is looking for the pieces of glasses while the real diamond is right here. And what's his request? His request is, then, my dear Lord, I want to be able to have association of your pure devotees and have an opportunity to serve them. So sadhu, kripa, mahat seva, these two are very important essential principles that even after receiving Lord's mercy, Dhruv Maharaj is asking for this. Gajendra the elephant, he had already given up. He's like, this material energy is because he was King Indradyumna in his previous birth, and the crocodile in the lake was pulling him down, and being an animal of the water, it's a natural habitat space, the crocodile was becoming stronger and Gajendra was becoming weaker because he's an animal of the land. Yet at the same time, he remembered the verses that he was reciting in his past birth by the mercy of the Lord. So nothing happens, but except the mercy of the Lord. But Lord also gives him mercy when he sees the purity in our heart. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna very nicely describes Sarvasya chaham hridaya sannivishtam mattah smritir jnanam apohanam ja. So from Lord comes Sarvasya cham hridaya. So he's residing in everyone's heart as Paramatma. And from him comes Matta Smriti Jnanam Apohanam. Smriti is remembrance. Jnanam is knowledge. And Apohanam is forgetfulness. Now people have the tendency, oh, I forgot this, must be Krishna's fault. No, Krishna is not at fault. It is something that we have to take care of things. And sometimes the timing goes in such a manner that maybe it was something for us to learn from. In a similar aspect from Gajendra, we see an elephant praying and plucking up in that painful state a lotus and offering it to Lord Hari. And similarly, the gopis, they served only Krishna, means he was their paramour, he was their focus, and they were automatically, exalted to become the most worshipable even by the demigods, even by Lord Brahma, who wanted to just become, the grass to twig in Uddhava, the great exalted personality, cousin of Lord Krishna. So these examples, like where exalted personalities were worshipping gopis, and Devashi Narad, he realized that gopis are so exalted. So all these aspects are very important, right? So sometimes we use different examples. So this person was, think of yourself and you're going to a buffet, and this buffet has 33 million dishes, and you want to try to taste each one of them. So what would happen? You're trying to take each one of them, and there are 33 millions of them. Actually, 330 millions, let's just say. And so by the end, your plate would be a mess, and you may be competing with Agastya Muni. So we had covered that in our last session. So all this food, but our stomach is still empty because we haven't finished, taking all the dishes. Well, in that case, a devotee would just approach, or a waiter could come and say, "Sir, you could have just gone to the chef directly. He owns the whole buffet. He would give you the best things that you want. Just tell him what you want," right? So, what's the lesson to learn? That demigod worship is like running after various dishes. Krishna is the chef. So, when we approach the chef, he knows what we need, and we can tell him, we can pray to him that, "My dear Lord, these are the things." Sometimes devotees, we even place our requests and prayers in the form of, "My dear Krishna, I'm facing this, please take care of it." That is part of Anyabhilashita, not Anyabhilasha. So again, pure devotional service, not without any desire. We have desire, but better to approach Krishna with those desires, because two things will happen, just like Dhruv Maharaj case. First, he would satisfy our desire. Yes, he will fulfill our desire. Then, if the desire is unfavorable for our spiritual growth, he will take away that desire. So we won't desire it anymore. Sometimes people are fearful of the second aspect. I'll lose the desire. No, you will attain a higher taste. Now you will experience so much higher taste that what you were looking for, and you did receive it or not receive it, depend on Lord's mercy, is too inferior and harmful for you. Sometimes not all desires are fulfilled as well. So how can we look at it from our life perspective? We can begin every seva, every mundane duties by mentally offering it to Krishna. That, "My dear Krishna, you are in the center. I want to make an offering to you." When respecting demigods, always chant Krishna's name to remember who they serve. Srila Prabhupada's disciple, when they were visiting different temples in India, especially in Vrindavan, they were going to every temple and they were paying obeisances, and they were reciting Prabhupada Pranati and Lord Krishna's prayers. So they realized, and even to the demigods' temples, when they would visit, Lord Shiva, Durga's, Mother Durga's temple, or Hanuman's temple, again, they were chanting the holy name. So that's how we can understand that these are, serving Krishna, all these great personalities. And before solving our life problems, we should ask, am I watering the branches or not? Means again, or the root. So again, they have to see, are we serving the root, or are we providing nourishment to the stomach, to the cause of all causes, Lord Krishna? So when we worship the roots, all parts are nourished, but the real question arises, what truly nourishes the heart itself? So that is a very important aspect. And this is where the heart's true nourishment, we transition over to the second part that we have to look at. So again, when we are looking at heart's nourishment, just as food to the stomach nourishes all the senses, right? The only focus is devotion to Krishna nourishes the soul and fills the void in our hearts. Right? Material activities, they are just trying to feed the eyes and the ears directly. But then what is happening? Our senses are getting agitated. The fire is burning stronger and stronger. It's not dying out. Why? Because we are supplying ghee, the clarified butter, to this fire of senses, trying to satisfy our senses. But only when we satisfy the stomach do the senses become satisfied. All we have to do is, morsel by morsel, supply food to the stomach, And all this agitation, all this hunger automatically dies. So similar concept has been identified that by serving Krishna automatically, all our senses are, pacified. They're completely satisfied. That's why we can look at beauty in the outside world, but it only causes agitation. But when you go to the temple, we look at the sweet Lord, so wonderfully being served by the devotees and looking so blissful, and we pray to Him. Automatically, we feel that all our agitation is going away and we are feeling satisfaction. So the whole in our heart, the void in our heart is being filled by the whole, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the soul, as a soul, we are hungry for Krishna, right? Not for temporary satisfaction. And that hunger can only be satisfied when we take to devotional service, when we start with the chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we have to look at different aspects, right? We see the example of Prahlad Maharaj. Even though he was tortured, even though his own father wanted to kill him, his heart was nourished by the remembrance of Krishna. So again, while Hiranyakashipu, who was the Lord of the universe at that time, who had everything available, all the demigods, with his eyebrow lifting, raising an eyebrow, they would be shaking like, leaf in winter. And such a powerful person was completely dissatisfied, was not able to feel the satisfaction, the peace aspect. When Prahlad Maharaj was constantly in peace and only taking to the chanting of the holy name. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And of course, we also see him singing Om Namo Narayana. So again, we have to understand that there are different prayers, but who are we praising through our prayers? The Supreme Personality of Godhead. We see the example of Sudama Vipra. He was very proud for his poverty. He was saying, I'm so humble, I'm so poor. Krishna, he removed his pride by giving him wealth. While there are people who Krishna took wealth from them so that they become more humble. We see the example of Shabri in Ramayana, right? Her heart nourished by she was just waiting for Lord Ram to appear. And her heart blossomed when Lord Ram came and to taste her berries. Her focus was she wanted to serve the best berries to Lord Ram. But how do you know that these are the best berries? So she took the bite, not thinking that I'm giving him my remnants, but making sure that the berries are the sweetest. So Lord understood her feelings. So that is also very important. Sometimes we talk about some instances sometimes happen. So a man goes to a doctor and says, Doctor, I'm eating 3 pizzas, 2 burgers, and 1 liter of soda every day, but still I feel empty inside. Well, that's a perfect recipe to get sick. Well, the doctor would just reply, that's because your stomach is full, but your heart is starving. So we have to feed the heart at that time. So somebody could say, well, I'm eating so much, but not satisfied. So what's the medicine? The doctor would just say, chant Hare Krishna. That's the only diet for the heart. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we have to understand that life throws various things our way. But we should accept them as mercy of the Lord and try to do the best to our abilities with keeping Lord in the center. So when we look at on a daily basis, what can we ask ourselves? What junk food do I feel like my soul? I feed my soul with instead of nourishing with Krishna's holy name. What all activities am I engaging in that are not really directed towards Krishna? So when was the last time I felt deeply nourished? And of course, by devotional service. And how can I improve my diet of hearing, chanting, and prasad this week? So why look at, overall, but start from now. So we should just take shelter of taking daily soul meals, right? Chant attentively, hear Bhagavatam, honor prasad mindfully, with full presence. It is said that you can only taste food through your tongue. But people are sometimes so much busy in hoarding they don't realize that actually once it goes beyond the tongue, you can't really enjoy the food. It is going to the stomach to be nourishing the body. So it's very important for us to make sure that what we are supplying to the tongue is in a ready state. It's in a state where it's completely liquefied so that it can be transferred. And of course, we should only try to take prasad. That's another aspect. And when people are hungry, but there are different kind of hungers, right? When people are hungry for recognition, consciously redirect that hunger into seeking Krishna's pleasure. That when we recognize Krishna, when we recognize his devotees, automatically our hunger for recognition vanishes. And it's saying that when you glorify others, that glorification comes back to you twofold. And when you blaspheme others, that also comes back to you fourfold. So again, we have to be very, very careful. That, and we talked about this Hanti Nindanti Vaidvaishti, right? So there are Vaishnava Pras, the 6 kinds. So not to harm, Hanti means to harm, Nindanti is to blaspheme. And Dveshti means thinking of them as an enemy, or Vaishnavas as an enemy. One is harming themselves because aparad means you are acting against Radha. And when you are acting against Radha, how can Krishna be happy, right? So we have to understand that when hungry for recognition, we can only redirect it by glorifying others, by recognizing others, and not for just doing so that they would recognize us, but truly find a quality in everyone. Everyone has great qualities, and some qualities are so unique that Krishna loves them. Agastya Muni, we talked about that story, that Agastya Muni, he could just drink the whole ocean and still not be satisfied. And so Lord Krishna, he actually engaged even Agastya Muni in Vrindavan Leela, the lifting of Govardhan hill. So our heart can only be nourished by Krishna. But what is the focus of this nourishment? We have to ask ourselves, why not split between gods and between Krishna and material gods and so many others? No, we have to have that one pointed attention. That's where we come to O. And we see the example of Arjun doing that. So bhakti is successful only when it is exclusive. Lord Krishna very clearly says, Sarva dharmam parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mukshishashmi ma shuchaha. So when we take only exclusive Lord Krishna's shelter, then we get the benefit. So key point is that our activities are only successful when it is exclusively serving Krishna. And serving Krishna alone is like watering the root, feeding the stomach. And that's what makes our activities devotional service, devotional activities. And splitting devotion weakens the result because that may just be distraction. And the fact is that although karma and jnana cannot be successful without bhakti, like Srila Prabhupada talked about in the purport, bhakti does not require the help of karma and jnana. Bhakti is fully, just like Lord is Atmaram, fully satisfied. Similarly, bhakti is represented by Radharani, Aladini Shakti, the pleasure-giving potency of the Lord. So this aspect we have to take to heart. And we see the example of gopis, that they're the best example of one-pointed devotion. They had no other consideration, no other desire, only Krishna. So once Krishna had a headache when he was in Dwarka. Why? Because, Rohini and Rukmini and Rohini was, yes, mother of Balram, but Krishna also had a wife by the name Rukmini. The 16,100 princesses that he saved from Narkasus, Mohammasur's palace, he brought, and he married them. Their leader was also with the name Rohini. And Satyabhama, they would complain that Krishna is calling out to his gopis, oh Radha, oh Lalita, oh Vishakha, where are you? So they were feeling like, we are serving him day and night. Why is he calling out? So one day Krishna wakes up and says, I'm having a headache, throbbing headache. So they bring various Vaidya are the doctors, the Ayurvedic doctors, and none of them are able to find a solution. So Krishna says, actually, I know the solution. So everyone asks, what's the solution? He says, if I get the, dust from the lotus feet of my devotee I spread it on my head, my headache will go away. Now hearing this, all his wives, they are like, how could this be? We cannot let this happen because that would be such a, let me put in the power play, Hare Krishna. So that would make us go to hellish conditions. We have to suffer, for eternity. This is not possible. So no one was ready to give, dust from their feet. to Krishna so that he can be relieved of the headache. Even says Narad, he came and he's like, no, I cannot do that. I will be suffering in hellish conditions for eternity. So Krishna says, please go and find a devotee who can give me. And so when Devashi Narad was going to Vrajtham, he sees some gopis on the bank of Yamuna river and he says, oh, Krishna has a headache. They start crying. Krishna has a headache. But he says, you know what? But there is a solution. They're like, what's the solution? He says, well, if he gets little dust from the feet of his devotee, then that will take away all the headache. They started thumping on the ground. They said, bring buckets, fill up. And Devashi Narad was shocked. He was like, aren't you afraid that you will have to suffer in hellish conditions, suffer for eternity? They're like, we don't care what happens to us. We only care that Krishna's headache will go away. Now that was their one-pointed devotion example. And at that time, Devashi Narad and all the queens in Dwarka, they realized how exalted these gopis are. Well, Uddhava had already known, but also, again, further it is revealed to him as well that how exalted these gopis are. So we have to understand that they are at a very high level. And when we look at our activities, we should look at, sometimes at the end of the day, we used to do this activity as a stachal. We would sit down and try to see what activities we perform were really in the category of devotional service or frivolous activities. So we have to understand that after O, one point of attention, comes L, which is love in action. So we have to be motivated by love, not just by duty and fear. And the highest expression of love is service without expectation. That is a very important aspect. We see in the case of parents, they carry out their activities as a reflection of love. We see sometimes when brother and brother, they're going and helping each other out and even giving up their lives for the sake of helping and satisfying another. That's an expression of love. But then Srila Prabhupada and Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, he makes a very clear distinction. If we are thinking it with perspective to our body, then it's just an expanded lust in the form of love. But if we look for, Krishna as, truly in the center, then it is a reflection of love. That's why devotees, when they serve together, side by side, shoulder to shoulder, for the pleasure of the Lordship, that is the true service. So we have to make a distinction. Sometimes it's very subtle, but we have to understand. And Sri Narottam Das Thakur, he attained bhakti by bathing in Padma river, empowered by Lokanath Swami's mercy. So this is where we see, Mahat Seva and then Sadhu Kripa. These are very important. Dhruv Maharaj, he was uplifted by Narad Muni's mercy and instructions. Megrari the hunter, he was transformed by sage Narad. Srila Prabhupada's disciple, many were completely unqualified based on what they were doing. But through Sadhu Kripa, by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, they developed devotion. And some of them are very exalted personalities. And there is also Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associate, Govinda Dasi, through service to Mahaprabhu, she attained perfection. So we have to see things in proper perspective. And then only we can have eternal satisfaction. So this verse reminds us that the true satisfaction is found in Lord alone, when we engage in Lord's service. And we can attain true perfection when we take to the shelter of devotees, the sadhus, and follow their instructions. Right? Eternal satisfaction is not a dream, but the natural state of the soul awakened by chanting Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So my dear devotees, I wanted to share with you today this aspect that we can truly be alive and we can truly be feeling full satisfaction when we take to devotional service in pleasure, for the pleasure of Lord Krishna. That is a very important aspect. And today what we covered is the acronym WHOLE, W-H-O-L-E, where W stands for worshipping the root, right? That's the core idea, that we have to serve the root, and the root is Lord Krishna. And that will cause the true nourishment of our hearts. So heart's true nourishment, H, will fully satisfy our heart because we as souls are craving for that spiritual nutrition. That's also very important. And this can only be maximum benefit we can attain when we do it one-pointed devotion, exclusively for Krishna. Mam ekam sharanam vaja. When we take exclusive shelter of Krishna, then our activities should also reflect love, love in action. That is true devotion. And we get this love by the mercy of Sadhu Kripa, again, mercy of the devotees, and Mahat Seva, by serving the exalted personalities. And thus, when engaged in devotional service under the direction of senior devotees, exalted personalities, the sadhus, we can experience eternal satisfaction. That's the E. Right? So bhakti produces joy that does not ebb with time. So this is what I wanted to share with you today. And I would like to open, if you have any question, you can write it in the chat or raise your hand. Kantra Srimadbhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Bhagavad ki jai, Nand Kauri Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Neeru Mataji has hand raised. Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. Mataji, Prabhuji, today I was going to attend Ganesh Visurjan at some place in my family, and the right things came to me at the right time. I was in my mind thinking that standing in front of Ganesha, they would be performing Aarti of Ganesha, and what will be my mood and my approach at that time. But then what I learned is that we have to please Krishna, and the demigods will themselves be pleased. So my query itself got solved in this discourse. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So I believe some of us are already aware that Lord Ganesha helped scribe the Srimadbhagavatam. He helped Vyasdev. So actually, the mood of demigod worship appears again and again in scriptures, in Srila Prabhupada's purports. So we don't have to be scared actually. Just our mood has to transform how we are approaching demigods. So Prabhuji, thank you so much. There is so much. The talk today was simplified very much with the help of this acronym WHOLE. And Monica Mataji has kindly offered, she prepares the transcripts of these talks point-wise at a high level and updates the recording on YouTube. So for those of you who want to refer to that, they can go and check it out. I think we can conclude the call now.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Devi. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Kantra Srimadbhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Bhagavad ki jai, Anant Kori Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Have a wonderful week in Krishna consciousness. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.